Okay, Assalamualaikum and welcome everyone for our second live session. So let's just start. Mhm. So my name is Dr. Rosaslina. I'm the CEO of Act for Health. So for our tentative tonight is on how to deliver an effective virtual presentations. So before we invite our speaker, I would like to introduce our Miss Kiirtaara. She's currently pursuing her doctoral study at University Malaya. She is part of a multi-institutional team working on Ageless project, which is dedicated to research of cognitive frailty and the development of quality community-driven geriatric care. And her specific research interest is mental health and cognitive frailty. She holds a degree in psychology from Help University and a master's in neuroscience from University Science Malaysia. Aside from research, Kiirtaara is also a staunch animal rights enthusiast. Okay, for her award, she's a top 3 presenter in MMI Mental Health Research Competition in 2018. She is also a Malaysian representative and a runner-up for Asian Youth Social Journalism Contest in 2019. She is a president of Help University Toastmasters Club and also a University Student Representative Council. So without further ado, let's just welcome Miss Kiirtaara.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Kiirtaara. I hope everyone is doing fine. I have one request. I know it may be uncomfortable for some of you, but could you please switch on your camera so that I can see all of you? If you're uncomfortable, don't worry. But I would. Okay, hi Fazida. Hi Helen. Nice seeing all of you. It's nice to have some human interaction, honestly. Hi Chai Chen. It's so long. Oh wait, I can't hear you. You're on mute, is it? Oh, you're eating. Okay, okay, no worries. You can.
I hope you don't mind I off the video.
No worries, no worries, no worries. Okay, hi Pamela. Okay, very nice to see all of y'all. Okay, let me just share my slides. Okay. Hold on now. Okay, I'm gonna share now. Effective virtual presentation. Okay, please let me know if you can see my slides.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
wonderful. Okay, so welcome to How to Deliver an Effective Virtual Presentation. Before I proceed, can I know that I'm clear? Can you all hear me clearly? Is there any sort of distortion?
No, it's
No,
clear.
everything is good.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so today's session is going to be very casual. I'm going to try to make it as interactive and as casual as possible. So please feel free to stop me at any time. If you have a question, just say Kiirtaara, can I please ask this or anything? Okay, up to you. And or you can even wait till the end of the session. We will have a Q&A session later on. And I'm gonna try to make you guys do like some uncomfortable activities. So I hope you don't mind because we do want to deliver an effective virtual presentation, which means that there will be some degree of non-comfort involved. Okay. So don't worry, it's a judgment-free zone. Okay, you are more than welcome to speak your mind. Okay, because speaking your mind is what makes an effective virtual presentation. Okay. You can keep your mic on as well if you want at any point of time. Okay. I'm just gonna try to be comfortable because today is all about being comfortable. Okay. Okay. So let's begin. Okay. The session is going to be divided into 4 components, which I believe are very important in delivering an effective virtual presentation. So number one would be your content because content matters. What you put in your slides or your presentation matters, because that's what people are going to be seeing. Aside from delivery, that's what people are going to be seeing. So it's very important that your slides are comprehensive enough for people on the other side of the screen to understand. Okay. The next one is design matters. So I know this is very, some people may think that it's very superficial that design matters, but you will need to understand that we are presenting virtually. So if your slides are too drab, too boring, people are going to lose focus. You see, more than your presentation, although your presentation may be very interesting, but if your slides are like so, then they're going to be wondering like, oh, the presentation is good, but I wish the slides had better design, or it was designed in a way where it helped me understand better. Okay, so that's design matters. Of course, presentation matters. Presentation, in fact, is very, very important because that's where your delivery lies. So, your presentation, we will tackle a few aspects. I'll give you some tips and tricks as well on how to tackle this presentation, because presentation matters, of course. And finally, logistic matters. When I say logistic, I'm talking about the platform itself, and what you need to do before your virtual presentation, what you should do after your virtual presentation, and things like that. Okay, so these are the 4 things that we will be covering in the next 1 hour or so. Okay, I won't drag it too long. Okay, I don't want to be too draggy, so it may be less than an hour, but we'll spend the remaining time with questions and maybe just a chat, because we want to get comfortable online. That's the whole point of delivering an effective virtual presentation. Okay, without further ado, let's begin. Please tell me if I'm too fast. Am I going too fast?
So far, no.
It
Okay,
is great now.
okay, great. Okay, so number 1, we begin with content. Okay, so in terms of content, there are few things you will need to understand and you will need to be aware of. Okay, first and foremost, ideally, your content should play by emotions, because we human beings, we are very emotional human. We are very emotional by nature. So when you're having a conversation with someone, would you prefer to have a conversation with someone who's someone who's very like just like listening and not responding, or would you prefer to have a conversation with the empath meaning someone who puts themselves in your shoe and tries to understand what you are delivering? Which one would you prefer? Anyone want
Empath.
to? Empath, right? Yeah, correct. Okay. So, of course, we enjoy speaking to an empath. Similarly, when we are delivering our content, we will need to show that we are empaths ourselves. Then, after we start with empathy, we establish authority. So, what I mean by this is, for example, I'm delivering this talk to you, I'm delivering this session to you. Okay, I'm going to tell you like, okay, everyone is here in this session today because we are all having problems with virtual interviews. I mean, virtual presentation, right? We are Sometimes we are overcome with nerves. Like even before I begin just now, I was overcome with nerves. I was telling Nina, like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. You see? So it's a very natural emotion to be nervous. You see? And it's also very easy to like when you're speaking and then you accidentally say the wrong word, and then suddenly you are overcome by embarrassment, because you're like, oh my God, I said the wrong word. These are things that your audience may not really like capture, but you yourself may realize, you know so that you see, now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to start with empathy. I'm trying to relate to you, my audience. I'm telling you like, okay, you're probably feeling like this before your presentation, and I put myself in your shoe. You see, so that's empathy, because what's happening here is I am telling you that I'm human being, you are human being, and it is very natural to feel nervous. It's very natural to be uncomfortable. It's very natural to be embarrassed about certain things. You see? So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to establish authority. So, from here, I'm going to tell you number one, when designing your content, you play by emotions. So, I am being authoritative here by telling you that you know what? You need to play by emotions. Do you understand what I'm trying to deliver?
No,
No.
sorry. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Okay. So for example, I'm going to tell you like okay, let's not use this session as an example. Okay, for example, I am talking about uh, the importance of being disciplined. Okay? I'm gonna present a session on the importance of being disciplined. Okay, so I'm gonna start my presentation now. Okay, so I'll begin with something like, do you ever feel like sometimes you lack the ability to stick to a schedule? Do you sometimes feel like you wish you were more capable, or you wish that you had more time in a day so that you could fulfill all that you needed to do in that day? Do you?
Yes.
You do,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. So we all feel that we wish that we were more disciplined, right?
Yep.
Okay. So now let me tell you how we can be more disciplined. I will give you a few tips and tricks on how to be disciplined. Okay,
Oh,
number one, do you see where I'm getting? Do you see how I started with empathy and then I told you, let me tell you how to be more disciplined? I established authority with, let me tell you how to be more disciplined. Do you see that distinction there?
yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so is it clear? Do you guys understand that you know how to start with empathy and then we establish authority?
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful, no problem. So that's the thing. Human beings are very emotional beings. So we always relate to emotion. That's why when we watch a movie and it's a sad movie, we will cry. When it's a scary movie, we get scared. You know, because we are very, very emotional beings. So it's important to relate to that emotion before you deliver what you want to deliver. Okay? Number two, you create a story. Again, we are playing by human nature here because we all enjoy stories. We grew up hearing stories. So when you're delivering your content, you want to create a story, especially for content that's too data heavy. So, being in the field of science, being in the field of research, we are always presenting statistics. We are always presenting numbers, you know, and we are presenting like journal articles and literature and things like that. These are all very data heavy content, which people can get very overwhelmed with, you know, because if I were to go on with like um, the whole presentation, I'm just going to be like, oh, this number of people have issues with virtual presentation, this number of people can successfully deliver a virtual presentation. At some point you all are going to lose focus because it's going to become too heavy on you and you're not going to be able to like grasp it anymore. You're not going to be able to like absorb anymore because your brain is just like shut. You know, have you ever felt that way in any kind of like conference, or you have attended like virtual sessions and things like that, and when the thing is too data heavy, you're just like, oh my god, I cannot, you know, it's like my brain is not absorbing anymore, you know? So if you want your audience to absorb what you're delivering, especially your data heavy content, try to make it a story. So, what I mean by try to make it a story, for example, statistics. Every day we are seeing the numbers of cases. Okay, we are seeing how many COVID cases are there. You know, we are seeing how many like number of death, how many brought in death and things like that. I mean, every time you look at this, you're just like, oh my god, all that numbers. You know, I mean, aside from the fact that it's so heart wrenching, you are also looking at the numbers and you are just so intimidated by the numbers. You know, so like what you want to do is when you're delivering this, like for example, if our DG Hisham goes and delivers a bunch of, like, of course he can't do it, like, because that's his job. You see, his job is to deliver the data. Okay. But let's say, like, okay, let's say we are going to be delivering the numbers. Okay. We don't want to just throw in numbers. We don't want to throw in statistics all the time, because then they're going to be very, very, like, very heavy on them. It's going to be they're going to be overwhelmed with these things. So what we want to do is we want to create a story. We'll say something like, how to create a story, like, okay, today on the 2nd of August 2021, it has been a dark day again, like for as long as we can remember, because this number of people died today of COVID-19. This number of people were brought in dead, and this number of people had comorbidities. It is truly sad that we are experiencing this today. So you see how I'm creating a story? When I'm telling you, I'm sort of telling you in the form of a story. You see? Do you understand?
Yep.
Okay. So what we want to do is we want to try to make it more we want to make it in a way where people can sort of absorb what you're saying, but you must be very mindful not to only say everything in the form of a story, because then you lose some form of credibility there, because if everything is a story, people are going to be like, where's the proof, where's the numbers? You see, so being in the field of research is very important that you find the balance between creating a story and presenting data. This balance is very, very important. You don't want it to be lopsided in any way. You don't want your content to be too data heavy. You don't want your content to be too story heavy as well. Okay? Okay. The third point, when you're creating content, use quotes. I know this is very generic. You see people using quotes everywhere, but there's a reason why that happens. Quotes have this effect on people where when someone famous said it once upon a time, it seems like it is there to back up what you're saying. And sometimes the quote is the takeaway. You see? So you always want to use quotes to back up your points, because it just increases credibility. At the same time, you are sort of giving them something to remember as well. Okay? The fourth point is add history of future reference. So when I say add history of future reference, what I mean is not, tell them like in 1890 something happened. No, not that. You relate to your content itself. So for example, if you're delivering a topic, whatever your research topic may be, you may want to give them a brief overview on what it was. For example, like prior to this, COVID-19 there was only one variant that was discovered. Infections were mostly the alpha variant. We did not have the beta or the delta variant and things like that. Okay, so you're giving them a history. You're giving them in 2020, the infections were mostly alpha and beta variant. Okay, in 2022, we don't know if there's going to be a newer variant, because the delta variant is more infectious, and then now we have the gamma variant. We hope that in 2022 the virus stops mutating and things can go back to normal. So what I'm doing here is I'm giving history, at the same time I'm adding a future reference. Do you see that? Can you see the history part, and can you see the future reference part?
Yep.
Yeah. So when you deliver your content, or when you create your content, what you want to do is you want to add that history and you want to add the future reference. Okay? Next, clear transition. When you're presenting, you must ensure that your presentation is synchronous. It has to be synchronous, because that way people sort of get your flow. You must be aware that what you're delivering, you want your audience to follow as well. And like right now, you can't see what your audience is going through. You can't see the body language. Like for me, like right now I'm presenting and I can't see your faces because I'm on full screen mode on my PowerPoint slides, you see? So I don't know what's happening there on the other side. So I want to be sure that you can follow what I'm saying, and what I'm saying has a flow to it. So ideally today we want to we want to learn on how to deliver an effective virtual presentation. So I'm going to start with the content, and then I'm going to go to design, and then I'm going to go to presentation, and then I'm going to go to logistics. So there must be that flow that you should be able to follow. So you must be synchronous. You don't like right now I'm saying like how to deliver an effective virtual presentation, and then suddenly I'm going to jump over to um, visual design, like what Dr. June presented earlier. I'm not going to be jumping over, then I come back to how to deliver an effective virtual presentation. Then, you are going to be confused, and it's not going to be proper. It's not going to be as effective as I want it to be. You see? So you must ensure that your presentation is synchronous, because synchronity is key. Next, you must make sure that your content is clear and easy to understand. Especially being in the field of research, we have so many jargons that even we sometimes take time to Google and then find out what is this. Especially in matters that we are not aware of, like in new areas that we do not have subject matter on. We will Google and we'll be like, okay, what is this? What is this? What jargon is this? What jargon is that? Things that, like for example, we are saying things like R naught. R naught was a jargon before this. In last year, we were all wondering like, okay, what is R naught? R naught. Every time they're saying things like R naught. Those are terms that people are not familiar with. So when you deliver these things, when you're designing your content, what you want to be able to tell your participants is something that they can understand themselves. So you, as the presenter, you need to think in terms of layman terms. So think when you're presenting when you're preparing your content, you gotta think like, okay, how am I going to make this easy to understand so that what I am delivering is there, but at the same time, people understand, and at the same time, I'm not oversimplifying. So you see, this is also something that you really need to find the balance. This is not something that you can achieve over once or twice. It's not impossible to achieve once or twice, but as you keep presenting, you will then realize that you will be able to distinguish between oversimplifying and presenting layman in a way where you can still deliver your content in a way you want it. Okay? Next, less is always more. This is very, very important. You do not want to bombard your audience with information left, right, center, because then they don't know where to focus. They're going to be looking at your slides and they'll be like, oh my God, there's an important point on your left, there's an important point on your right. What is important, what is not important. They tend to, they are surrounded by that confusion where at some point they'll be like, okay, nothing is important here, or everything is important. So when you create your content, you got to make sure that your content is precise, concise, and straight to the point. Okay? That way, you can take your what is on your slide can be concise, but when you present, you can use it to explain. For example, all you need is a keyword, but of course, not just one word there. Then people are going to be like, okay, let's say I put like less is always more, and then I just put less there. Then you all are going to be wondering, like, what does she mean by less? I can explain to you that I'm trying to say less is always more. But what if you weren't listening to me at that point of time? So what you want to do is you want to ensure that what you're delivering, as I mentioned, is precise, concise, and straight to the point. Okay? The eighth point, use animations. Animations are godsend, honestly, because animations are a way to keep the audience engaged. You see, because like right now, I'm just talking and talking and talking. If I keep talking the entire session, at some point you're going to lose focus and you're going to be like, your mind is going to start drifting, and then you're going to start thinking about other things. And then suddenly I say something and then you come back. You see? But if I'm going to use animations, then you are going to be involved in that process. You're going to be, involved in the animation. So like I put this sleeping face here, this little cartoon guy that's sleeping in front of the laptop. So from there, what can you see? What am I trying to tell you with that image there? Can anyone uh anyone take a wild guess what I'm trying to uh what is my point? Why did I put that picture there?
The tips and trick to avoid from the audience getting sleepy
Yeah.
or lost
So
information.
yes, correct. So you see, when you select, I mean, it's up to you. You can choose a little cute cartoon animation like I did here, or you can put your own picture there, or you can put someone else's picture, or you can put a chart on the number of people that fall asleep during a presentation. You see, as long as it's animated, it is more eye-catching. People are going to remember that animation more than the words is actually. And we are all students. We've all been through lectures. So when you're sitting in a lecture hall, what you remember is the image your lecturer shows more than the tiny, tiny words that appears on the slides. You see? So utilize animation, but make sure that it's not fully animated and there's no words. you know and also your animation needs to be related to your content, not just some random animation that you just found cute and you wanted to add to suit the theme. Because then people are going to be wondering like, oh, what's the point of that picture? And then when they remember that picture, they're going to be like, why do I remember the picture and why do I not remember the content? You see, so you need to be able to like relate these two as well. They need to know the animation and they need to know what were you trying to deliver. Okay. And finally, for presentation, use virtual tools. What I mean by virtual tools is I'm going to show you something. Okay. Let me just pause my presentation for a while. Okay, if you see, okay, wait, let me just share my screen so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay, can you see my screen? You should be able to look at all of you actually. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
So what I did was on Google Meets, at least for Google Meets, what I did was I went to this three geometrical shape thing here. So there's a triangle, there's a square, and there's a circle. Okay, so I click on this, and then these things come up. These things pop up. You have breakout rooms, you got polls, you got Q&A, you got whiteboarding. You see, have any of you used these tools before? Can I do like a quick survey on anyone that has used this tool before?
Me,
Sorry,
breakout room.
Pamela? Breakout room. You've used breakout room. Pamela, you were going to say something, is it? You use polls. Okay, great. So you see, within Google Meets itself, you have this thing called polls, you have this thing called Q&A, and you have whiteboarding. Think about whiteboarding is, I don't know, has anyone used whiteboarding before? Okay. Whiteboarding is a great way to brainstorm. So if you're having a group meeting, for example, and you want to brainstorm ideas, you click on whiteboarding, okay? You start a new whiteboard, okay? Then each of you, okay, you can see this is how it appears. Some people need to access files, so you just send, okay? Can you see the whiteboard appear here?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So there are ways, okay, I see Pamela has joined as well. Okay, for example, like I'm going to give you a topic on how to make this presentation more interesting. Okay, so I want each of y'all to tell me how to make this presentation more interesting. So what you can do is, you can see tools here. There's pen, there's eraser, then you can select the item. There's sticky note. This is my favorite ever. Okay, so what you can do is like, okay, I'm gonna I'm going to tell you how to make this presentation more interesting. Then what you do is you just click a sticky note. Okay, it appears like that. Choose a color that you like. Okay, I'm going to choose orange. And then I'm going to write here, stop talking too much. Okay, and I save it. And it appears here. So you see, do you see how this is a great brainstorming tool? Do you see how that, you can use this to sort of get everyone to interact? So I want every one of y'all to try it. I want you to try, okay, the question is the same. How to make this presentation more interesting? So do anything. Feel free to use the tools. I'm giving you some time here. Join the whiteboard first, okay? Is everyone okay with joining the whiteboard? Can you see,
Yes, I'm
anyone
trying
having
to
trouble?
open it.
Sorry, I'm having trouble. I miss out. Where did you press the button to show the activity again?
Okay, hold on. See, what the good thing about this is, what will happen is, you go to your chat.
Chat.
Yeah, go to chat on Google Meets.
Mm.
And then do you see the
Yeah.
link?
Mm.
Yeah, click on that link. Are you able to?
Oh, they asked me to install a apps called Jamboard.
Oh, how come? Are you using your phone?
I'm using handphone.
Ah, okay. Then maybe you need to install the app, because if for those who are using browser, you may see that you can just straight up like go to the link. But don't worry, you don't have to install it now. Okay, you can see my screen, right?
Uh, yeah, the moment. Mm. Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay, wonderful. So you can see my screen means no problem. This is basically what the Jamboard looks like. Okay, so who said use nice pictures? Helen, is it? Helen said use nice pictures. Using key points. Okay, great. So you see how you can just throw in ideas that you can even adjust it, you can adjust the size. Like you want me to really focus, just like make it really big here. So I'm like, oh wow, okay, I should like stop talking too much. This is not just the only feature. You also have image. So you can even add an image. You see? So you can just upload image, or you can Google image search, and then you can just do like uh memes, okay? Funny memes. And then I can just like add anything lah. Balance font size and colors. Yeah, correct. So you see, I can just add an image there. Okay? So it's very interactive. This app is very interactive, especially if you want people to throw in ideas or you want people's opinion and things like that. Okay? Everyone is okay with this? Or you want to add anything else? I'm actually taking note of your points, so you gotta like help me out here as well. Okay, let's go back to our thank you for participating in our Jamboard session. I hope this is something new that you have learned and you will be utilizing. But of course, this is not something that you would actually use when you're delivering a presentation in a conference and things like that. So these are features that you use in a conference. Maybe you want to focus on um less time consuming tools. Okay, maybe a poll would be good, or maybe a Q&A would be good when you're presenting in a conference and you want people to provide their opinion very quickly. Okay, so when you use these tools, you got to keep in mind the time you have, the duration that you have in hand as well. Okay. Okay, anyone needs a break? Everyone is okay? Is everyone okay?
Yep, I'm okay.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay.
All right, let's continue. Okay, let's go. Let's move on. Okay, next up, design matters. I'm not going to delve too much into this because Dr. June has covered this pretty comprehensive in visual design. So, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly run through this so that you are aware of certain things that you can use while designing your slides and or your presentation. Okay, so first of all, templates. In case you didn't know, you can get free templates online. You can find on this website, allpowerpoint.com, allppt.com. Just do a quick Google and then you will see like tons of free PowerPoint templates designed, which you can download and it's tailored to your screen size as well and also by category. So there's food, there's religion, there's business, there's recreation, there's medical, and some of these are so creative. All you got to do is just input the info because the design is just done for you. And these designs are created in a way where they are meant to be engaging to your audience on the other side. So this is one website that you can sort of you can have a look. Slides Go is my personal favorite. I use this for my presentations most of the time because you have ones that are very animated, but you also have ones that are, balanced enough for a very professional presentation. So you can really like Slides Go is pretty simple. All they need is you need to credit their template at the end of your thank you slide. They will be like, okay, this slides was created in Slides Go and things like that. So that's where the credit goes. But other than that, it's very simple. All you got to do is just search a template like according to your theme. For example, you wanna deliver on education. You just click on you just search education and then all themes related to education will appear. Okay, so you can utilize templates like this because these templates are designed by experts that are very mindful of how to make it engaging. It's so easy, you just have to put in the info. That's all. Or maybe you can add a few animations, that's up to you. Okay. This is another one, Canva. Canva, they give you presentation templates. You're also able to create posters and things like that. So this is another thing that you can explore. You can go to Canva and you can sort of check out their templates and things like that. And then, of course, appropriate use of font features. So, like, you want to use serif fonts. Serif are the ones without a wing. So like Times New Roman and things like that. They are all like without wings and stuff. And then you have sans serif. Sans serif are with wings. So like Times New Roman has that. What I mean by wings is like you see these texts don't have wings. But then there are some texts. Okay, let me see if I can find anything here. Okay, no, these are all not. There's some texts with wings, you see, like one tiny, like the T, and then there's like at the bottom of the T there's an up there. So that's a wing, you see. So utilize these font features appropriately. Serif fonts are more appropriate for large text and titles. Sans serif are usually for title or body text. Script are the kind of fonts that are handwriting, sort of like handwritings, you know. So script, when you're delivering a presentation, especially one that involves your research, do not try to avoid using script. You don't want it to look it's got a bit of a very childish feel to it. It's something more casual and something more fun. So you don't want to put that in your research presentation. Okay, and then of course you have like font size. So font size, maybe your title font is, of course, it has to be out there. So you want it to be somewhere between 32 to 40. Your body font, you want it to be somewhere between 24 to 32. Not too small, not too big as well. Okay. And then of course you have font effects. So for bold, when you use bold is when you want to emphasize points or you want or for subtopics. When you want to use an underline, you basically don't want to use it in your presentation. The reason why is because underline, you can easily mistaken it to be hyperlinks. You see, for example, I will go through this text later to show you. For example, you see, the man in the moon came tumbling down and inquired the way to Norwich. He went by the south and burned his mouth with eating cold peas porridge. So look at the bowl. When you look at this passage, what is the first thing you look at?
Man in
Man
the
in the
moon.
moon.
Man in the moon, right? Because I highlighted it yellow like that, so it's like out there, right? What is the next thing you look at?
Burnt his mouth.
Burnt his mouth. Okay, so can you see how I'm trying to emphasize these things? So what you should not do is you don't, if you're trying to emphasize an entire point, you don't want to highlight the whole point, unless there's like a few points there and you want to highlight one point because that one point is very important. Then okay, go ahead. But if it's a passage like this and I highlight the whole thing, then it's going to look very awkward. It's going to look like I'm trying to emphasize that all of this is important, unless this is not the only passage I have here, unless there are more than one passage here. I have like 3 4 passage and I highlight this whole passage because I want you to focus on this. Okay, so you must know when to use these font features. Like you see, underline, when I see cold peas porridge, what I want to do is I want to click it and then it will lead me to a Google page. Because hyperlinks appear like that. So what people will assume when they see cold peas porridge is like, oh, maybe if I click it, they will show me a picture of a cold peas porridge. So when you underline, it's very easily mistaken as hyperlinks. Italic also used to emphasize words, but mostly used for like terms, very unique terms. That's when they use italic. Okay. And another thing that's important is font colors. So your font colors should create contrast. You want your font colors to be, in a way where people can read them and they don't get lost in it trying to find what you're trying to say. So you want to stick to a color theme. So like you see in my slides here, the theme is a bit of a very mellow, very, what is that term? Very matte kind of theme. So you don't use too many colors. You see, like my my title slide is gray and then there's a little bit of gray here. The logos I can't do much, that's beyond your control lah. But you see, there's no much like, just colors thrown out there in a way where your attention goes all over the place. For example, in this passage, what is most obvious here? When you're reading this passage, like, okay, when you quick look at this passage, and what do you see first? Anyone?
The last sentence.
The last sentence, right? For he seemed to read the most secret thoughts of their mind. That's the one that you see first. Which one is the one you cannot see the most? You're like having trouble reading it. Which one is the one that, among these, I've used 3 color scheme. Which one is the most,
The
the one
yellow
that
one, less
yellow
and
one, right?
no more reductible enemy.
Yeah. So you can see that why contrast is important, because then, like, if I put them all in orange, you may have some difficulty reading it. Although now that it's virtual and my slide is being presented on your computer, it is a bit more easier. But this is something that, it's more, you got to be more mindful of when you're delivering a face-to-face presentation. Okay. So, but of course, it's important for you to maintain that in your virtual as well. But it doesn't affect as much as face to face. Finally, bullet points. Bullet points, it's up to you whether you want to use it or not. Bullet points are ideal for points, very point form stuff. So, like for example, I have this recipe here for brownies. So I want to tell you that in the brownie, how to make a brownie, you want 2 eggs plus water, you want powdered sugar, unsweetened cocoa powder, you want oil, and you want vanilla extract. Okay, these are the ingredients to make brownies. So I put them in point form because they're easy to see. Because if I put like long explanations here, it's very easy to miss the ingredients. And then there are technicalities to it. Your bullet points should not be larger than your text. And research has shown that filled bullet points creates more impact than the ones with the whole. And then, of course, you need to ensure that there's sufficient spacing between word and bullet. Okay? And finally, one idea per slide, because too much information creates confusion. So from here, I have put here too much information creates confusion. If I were to elaborate, like, if I were to put on the screen, like, how this information creates confusion, what are the symptoms of confusion, what makes too much information, you are going to be left confused. Okay, so remember this: less is always more. Same. Too much information creates confusion. You want to be straight to the point, you want it to be concise, you want it to be precise. Okay, everyone okay so far?
Yes.
Okay, I hope I'm not boring you. Okay, let's move on. Presentation matters. Okay, now we're going to talk about presentation as in like you presenting. Okay, so number one, smile for the camera. So what I mean by smile for the camera is the key is to maintain eye contact. This is a lot easier when you're presenting face to face, because face to face you can see your audience right in front of you and you can see their reactions and you can look at them when you're specifying some points and things like that, right? But virtually it's a bit more difficult. You don't know like where to look. I can't see with, especially with your cameras off, I can't see how your reaction are and things like that. But me presenting, what you want to do is you try to maintain eye level. Your laptop has to be eye level. Okay, your camera has to be eye level with your, like, in a way where it's as if I'm talking to you, you know? So I'm looking at the camera and I'm talking to you. Okay, try to turn off self view. Okay, because then you're going to end up looking at yourself more than your audience. Okay, it's human nature. You're going to be like, if I see like, oh my god, my hair is all messed up, so I'm just going to start adjusting it, you know or like you're going to try to be, you become very conscious when you can see yourself on the screen. So try to turn off self view and try to focus on the camera on the screen. So I'm looking directly at the camera now, so it seems like I'm looking directly at you. Okay, and then place camera at eye level. Of course, again, this is because you want to tell your audience that, I'm looking at you. Although you're not in front of me, you know that I'm looking at you. Okay? Next one, set your tone. When you're delivering something, you don't want it to be too drab. You don't want it to be so boring. Imagine if I was giving this whole presentation in one tone. Something like avoid drab and monotonous delivery. Number one, pace yourself. Number two, be animated and energetic. You don't want to be those budak sekolah that's telling kids, like, when they wish their teachers good morning and then it's all in like one tone like that. You know, you don't want that, because then if this whole presentation is going to be that, then you are going to be bored. I'm going to lose your attention. And the thing about delivering virtual presentations is it's very easy for your audience to lose focus, because let's say you are like, I'm presenting here and I'm monotonous, I'm boring. You are going to want to do something else and I have no control over it, because we are not face to face. So I cannot tell you like, oh no, can you please focus on my presentation? I cannot tell you that, because I don't know what you're doing on the other side of the screen. So you as the presenter need to ensure that your presentation is attractive enough in a way that your audience wants to listen to you. Okay? So how you do this? Number one, pace yourself. Pace yourself. Don't be too fast. Don't be too slow. Okay? Find the right pace in a way where your audience are able to capture what you're trying to say. Okay, which is why I asked you just now, am I okay if I'm too fast? Please let me know. If I'm too slow also, please let me know, because then that way you can sort of like, you can sort of evaluate yourself and know your own pace so that your audience are following you. Okay, number two, be animated and energetic. That is on you. You need to be animated and you need to be energetic so that your audience remains animated and remains energetic as well. Okay? Number 3, use voice contrast. What I mean by voice contrast is there are 3 things that you got to remember. Number 1, slow down or over articulate. For example, slowing down would mean like, I'm going to tell you, avoid drab and monotonous delivery. That is slowing down. Okay? Like, for example, right, if I were to go, okay, like, I'm going to say, like, okay, use voice contrast, slow down or over articulate, pause for dramatic effect, increase, decrease volume. You see, I'm using the same speed and it's very easy to miss what I'm trying to say, But if I were to say something like use voice contrast, slow down or over articulate. But of course, don't make sure that your whole presentation is not that you're not too slow, not every word is slowed down and not every word is over articulated because then it makes no difference. The point of using this voice contrast is so that people pay attention to what you're saying. Pause for dramatic effect. Because when you're going through a virtual presentation, when your speaker is speaking and speaking and speaking, and then suddenly there's a pause there, then you're going to be like, why is it so quiet now? And then your speaker comes in with a dramatic effect. You see? So these are ways for you to engage your audience. Okay? Increase and decrease volume. This is something you can do very easy virtually. Because sometimes when you can't hear the presentation, what you do is you increase your volume, right? Because you want to hear what the presenter is saying. At the same time, if I were to increase my volume, there's going to be like a loud voice over at your screen and you're going to be like, whoa, okay, why is suddenly so loud? You know? So that these are voice contrasts that you can utilize to get your audience to pay attention to what you're saying. Okay? Fourthly, enhance vocal energy. Vocal energy is things like vocal training. Those who've been involved in music would know what vocal training is, or even those who are involved in public speaking. Vocal training is very, very important. So like I want everyone to do this right now. Okay? I'm gonna hide my presentation and I'm gonna look at your face now to make sure that everyone is doing it. Okay? So can everyone on their camera for a while? I hope Chaichan, I hope you're done with your dinner. Okay, everyone on your camera. Okay, wonderful. So now what I want you to do is I want you to like stretch out your face and stretch out your mouth. So like, really like stretch out. Really feel that muscle and everything just like, just expanding. So you can feel all that tension just dissipating, right? When you really stretch, stretch your neck, stretch your mouth, like open it, really open as wide as you can. So, okay, once you have done this, do you feel a lot lighter? You feel a lot lighter, right? You feel it's like, okay, it's funny. When you look at yourself, it's really funny. I mean, you see other people doing it's funny. But after you do it, do you feel like your muscle tension has just slowly reduced, Your jaw feels a lot freer. This is the point of vocal energy. You don't do it while you're presenting, okay, because then it's just going to look ridiculous. What you do is you do it before you start presenting. Okay, so just do like a bit of yawn, a bit of stretch, in your mouth, and just really just release all the energy, like your hands and everything, just like shake, 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 shake everything, just to release the nerves, Then after that, you feel like, okay, I can do this. Let's go on with my presentation. Okay, so that's one way you can warm up. It's warm up lah, basically. Okay. Next, what I want you to do is yawn with noise. So like you're yawning. Go ahead, yawn everyone like yawn. Fake it, fake your yawn, as loud as you can. You know? So can you like don't worry, don't be shy. It's okay. Everyone is doing everyone looks equally ridiculous here. So don't be shy. So when you yawn like that, when you yawn with noise, what you're doing is you're actually engaging your vocal cord. So you're sort of opening up your vocal cords in a way where when you're presenting halfway, you don't feel like your vocal cords are tired, because you're sort of given up a bit of a warm up for your vocal cords already. Okay, so yawn, make some weird noise, you're just alone in the room when you're presenting anyway. So just, like sing out loud and yawn as loud, or, scream if you want. Okay? So don't worry about looking ridiculous, because looking ridiculous before the presentation doesn't matter, because only you can see how ridiculous you look, right? Okay. Next, vocal training. Okay, vocal training, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a video, a very quick video. Okay. This person shows you, it's a 2 minutes video, and she sort of gives you a very basic vocal training that you can sort of practice. It's very useful when you do this on a regular basis, because then you find that you're able to throw your voice. Okay, that reach, that voice reach is very important when you're presenting. Okay, so let me just play the video for you. Follow along if you want to. Okay, no one can hear you.
If you were to meet someone right now and you were really excited
Okay,
to talk to
better.
the person, your voice would sound really vibrant, really alive. But if you met someone and you really weren't in the mood to chat, your voice is going to slip into a monotone, because a monotone voice blocks out communication. Well, here's a little exercise you can do to bust out of a monotone and increase your range. This exercise is called a slide. So we're going to imagine that your whole body is a slide, and we're going to take the word hey, and I'm going to slide it down my body. Here's how it goes. Hey. And we'll go from bottom of the slide to the top. Hey. And we'll try it again. Hey. Hey. Good. Now let's replace the word with some numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now let's go 1, 3, 5. 1, 3, 5. 5, 3, 1. Just play around so that your voice starts to move, and it starts to get more interesting to listen to, a little more range. You know, most humans will talk around the same 1, 2 notes all of the time, yet our speaking voice has 30 notes in its range to play around with. So now let's try a sentence. Let's use the sentence by Shakespeare. To be or not to be, that is the question. And first say it in a monotone voice. To be or not to be, that is the question. And now let's bust out of that, and we'll play around with our range. To be or not to be, that is the question. Play around a little more. To be or not to be, that is the question. To be or not to be, that is the question. Of course, we want to sound natural. We don't want to sound fake when we're in real communication. So keep in mind, this is an exercise you're going to do at home. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. It's Kathy with a C at raiseyourvoicecoaching.com.
So can you see how vocal exercises help? So it's good to practice. It's very simple. It's basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you want to be able to reach really high, but at the same time go low, okay, but jump in between. So that way you're training your vocal cords to reach notes, to reach out to your audience. So when you're speaking, you are able to like throw your voice suddenly, or like whisper, so you can see that change there. It very good. Just practice this. There's a lot of videos on YouTube that for vocal training and things like that you can sort of try to watch and practice on your own. Okay, anytime you're free, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Like it's so easy. Okay, let's continue. Okay, where's my slides? Hold on, yeah. Can't find my slides. Okay, can everyone see my slides?
Yes.
Okay. Very good use of vocal tone. No, 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 this. Okay. Okay. Another thing about presentation is you yourself should evaluate and enhance. So, how you do this is practice. You practice, practice, and practice to make perfect. So, before a big presentation, go do a trial run with yourself in front of a mirror if you have to, or do it in front of a family member or a friend. As long as you have that practice there, when the actual presentation comes, you will feel a lot more natural, a lot more comfortable. You see, because sometimes when you don't practice, you start doubting. You start doubting if your audience are engaged enough. You start doubting if your presentation is interactive enough. So when you practice, especially with someone else, you are able to sort of gather these nuances, gather these very tiny details that can help you deliver an effective presentation. Okay, some people, what they do is they record themselves. So, like, before this presentation, I record myself presenting this so that I can sort of look back. I rewatch my recording, and then I'm like, oh, maybe I should do this better. Then I take note of it. Oh, maybe I should add something here. Then I take note of that. Okay, and of course, third, take notes. So, like, what I'm going to do after this is I'm obviously going to get your feedback, right? Because I'm going to tell you, like, okay, how did I perform? And then I'm going to take note of these things, and then I'm going to practice it. So, the next presentation, when I'm presenting again to my audience, I'm going to make sure that I do not repeat my mistakes, or I enhance on what I did that was effective earlier. Okay, so taking notes, it's very important to reflect on your presentation so that you're able to deliver. Each time you deliver a presentation and you reflect on it, your presentation improves. Okay, and do not let the screen limit you. Stand up if you have to. Use gestures. If you see, I've been using gestures. My hand goes here, my hand goes there. I'm like pointing here. Because why I do this is because it makes me very comfortable. I'm not limited by the screen. You can still see my hand. You can still see my expressions. You see? Stand up if you have to. If you're comfortable standing up. I know people who present with, like, they put their laptop on a
Standing.
table. Sorry?
Are you standing now?
No, I'm not standing. I prefer sitting down.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not standing. So that's the thing. Do what you're comfortable with, because, like, when I stand, I tend to move around a lot. I tend to, like, do this. I'm like shaking from side to side. So I don't like that. But when I'm sitting down, I'm very comfortable. I'm using my hands. I'm like, as if I'm presenting, but you can't see my bottom half lah. So that works in my favor. Same way, you do what works in your favor. Just because you're confined by a box, they're looking at a box, doesn't mean that box is allowed to limit you. Okay? Confidence is key. This is a very cliche thing that you hear everyone say. Confidence is key. But it is key. You need to be confident in your own abilities. You need to be confident in your presentation. You need to be confident in your substance and your content so that your audience are able to engage and receive that confidence that you have. Okay? So, like, if you're gonna deliver in a very, like, non-confident way, then automatically when you're not confident, you will see that your tone of voice also goes down with you, does not sound very confident, and then you're like limiting yourself. You become very rigid, because you're highly stressed. You're not confident in your own presentation. But if you shake it off a bit and you're like, okay, I can do this, when you're presenting, you feel more at ease as well. And then your audience who are listening to you are also able to feel that confidence, and they're like, wow, okay, this is a very engaging presentation. Okay? And finally, have fun. Have fun. No matter what happens, have fun. When you're presenting, don't, I know it's easy to say, like, okay, have fun during presentation. It's not easy for you to have fun when, let's say, it's your proposal defense or your thesis defense. How are you going to have fun, right? You're going to be super stressed about it. But what I mean by have fun is, while you're presenting, make sure that you're truly passionate about what you're presenting. So when you're passionate about it, you will start having fun naturally. Maybe insert a joke or two. Who said that, your thesis defense has to be all so serious and also like everyone's just staring at each other. No, it does not have to be like that. You are allowed to crack a joke or two if you want to, as long as you're having fun. Okay, who said your international conference has to be like all so serious? Everyone is just there, like, up straight and all. No, because when you have fun, your audience have fun too. Okay, so remember, always have fun when you're presenting. Final part, logistic matters. I know I'm running out of time. I'm so sorry about that. I'll try to really run through this. Okay, logistic matters. These are very basic things that you got to be aware of lah. Number one, well lit surrounding. Light has to be like, your light cannot be behind you, so your light should never come from above as well or behind. So you see that image I put, right? I've got this image here of Alexander the Great. Okay, so the image on your left, you can see the light source is from behind, so everything looks very dark. But when the light source is from the front, you can see, like, the face just outshines. It's like taking a selfie. When you take a selfie, you want to be facing the light or facing the sunlight. Okay, you don't want to, like, in a dark area when you take a selfie, your selfie is not going to turn out properly unless you have like an iPhone lah. That works wonders lah. But ideally, make sure your light source is from in front. Use a ring light, invest in a ring light, invest in a sound box and things like that. These are investments, especially if you're going to be constantly delivering presentations. It is worth to invest in a ring light. Okay, the ones that has a stand, some of it has a tripod and things like that. So it's very useful actually. Of course, natural lighting works best, but when you're presenting at night, you cannot depend on natural lighting, right? So that's where your ring light comes to play. Or maybe your room is well lit. So make sure that, if your room is well lit, your light source is not coming from behind. And like I mentioned, invest in a ring light. And then second point is use sound aids. If you're constantly going to be presenting, you should invest in a high quality microphone. It's not compulsory, but it's better especially if you're constantly presenting. Okay, and make sure you keep mic away from mouth. You see, like the image I've shown, right? If your mic is too close to your mouth, what will happen is the sound will become very muffled. So audience can't really hear what you're saying because everything just sounds like, all the feedback and everything will appear. But if it's slightly further, then the sound is sharper as well. Okay. Clothing and surrounding. Most important when it comes to surrounding is make sure your surrounding is distraction free. You do not want to be distracted by noise. Like just before I was about to begin my presentation, my father was practicing his saxophone outside of my room. It was so loud and it was so like, so deafening. And I just like had to tell him like, okay, my presentation is starting soon. So they all went downstairs instead. Of course you cannot chase away your parents. I know some of y'all do not have the luxury of like, chasing your parents away downstairs lah, okay? But the point is, make sure your environment is distraction free. No loud, deafening noise, no activities happening around you, so that you are focused on your presentation and your audience can focus on you and not what's happening around you. So make sure it's not cluttered, it's free from loud, distracting noise, and it is not within a crowd. Okay, so always find a quiet spot where you can present very comfortably, very naturally, and the only noise that's coming is from you and not anywhere else. Okay. Number 2, outfit matters. I know we live in a new age where these are all things that do not matter, but that's not my point. I'm not being prejudiced towards female clothing or male clothing in any sense. What I'm trying to say here is, what I'm trying to focus is practicality. What you want to do is, you want to avoid plaits. Plaits is the checkered ones, patterns, any vibrant patterns like floral prints, very loud, vibrant floral prints or stripes. The reason why is because it's very distracting. So what's going to happen is your audience is going to be looking at your clothing more than your face. What you want to do is you want them to focus on your face. Okay? And avoid colors similar to your background. You do not want to end up like the chameleon I'm showing on the screen. You see, like how they ideally want to blend in the background. You don't want that. You want to appeal to your crowd. Okay? Your online presence, use a virtual background. So you can see I'm using a virtual background. It showcases what which organization is organizing this talk, and it's plain, so my background is white. But even when you use a virtual background, make sure that your original background is plain, it's white. Ideally it should be white, so that way your virtual background also appears very nicely. Okay. And another thing that's very important with virtual background is your internet connection has to be good, otherwise it's going to keep flickering and you're going to be like, it's going to be very disturbing. Number two, framing. What I mean by framing is, like our dear friend here, Mr. Shakespeare, what you want to do is your face, and then your shoulders should be able to be seen, your neck should be able to see. So what you're doing is you're framing yourself, like a picture. It's like a picture. So this part is obvious. You can see face, neck, and shoulders. Stay close to the camera, but like not super close. Then you're going to be like, wow, okay, this is too close for comfort, that kind of thing. Of course, I'm not in front of you, but even when I do it virtually, you feel that uncomfortableness. So make sure you're not too close to the camera. Again, stand up if you must. If you want to stand up, stand up. No one is stopping you. No one is here to stop you as well. So go ahead. And another thing is you need to know your platform. So these are very important things that you got to take note of before you begin your virtual presentation. Familiarize with the platform. You should know where to share presentation, how to share presentation. For example, Google Meets, when you're playing an audio, ideally what you want to do is you want to share as tab, because when you share as tab, then you can hear the audio. But sometimes when you're sharing from your device, like you share a window or share your screen, the audio may not be clear. But if you're presenting slides or you're showing an image, it's okay. No worries with sharing a window or sharing your entire screen. But with audios, if you're going to play a video, always use a tab. Okay, that's with Google Meets. Zoom has a whole different setting. So these are things you need to know. You need to familiarize with the platform. Okay, your audio and video setting as well. Know your microphone, because sometimes when you want to share the audio, your audio setting will change. You see, if you want to share a video, you see, you must check your microphone, whether it's your speaker microphone or your device microphone. You play around with it. You don't need to know exactly, but do these things before you present. Okay, so that you don't seem very like, while you're presenting and then you don't know these things, and you're just fumbling around. You're not only wasting time, you're also like, it doesn't leave a good impression. Okay, know the recording function. Okay, especially if you want to record yourself presenting, know where to record. Not all accounts have access to recording. And again, I'm referring to Google Meets. Only uh, accounts, organizational accounts, have recording function. Like right now, I want to record. I cannot do the recording, but Dr. Nina can, because she is using the Act for Health platform. Okay. And again, know the polls and activities, where these features are, know where they are, know how to use them. Okay. And very important, do a dry run. Dry run meaning be present about 10 minutes, 15 minutes before the session begins, or tell the organizer, okay, I want to do a dry run at 2 p.m. for my 5 p.m. presentation. So do a dry run, check your slides, check your audio, go through everything, make sure everything is okay, there are no technicalities, no technical issues and things like that. Do sound checks. In case there are issues, always have backup. Like for example, just now when I was going to play the video, it was already on my slide. But then when I shared it, it didn't appear. The audio wasn't, you couldn't hear the audio. So I did a trial run with Dr. Nina just now, and I made sure that, the audio can be heard. And then Dr. Nina gave me feedback and said like, oh no, the audio can't be heard. So my contingency plan is I open a tab with YouTube on it, and the video that I got from, the video that I got from was from YouTube. So I just prepare the video there. That's my contingency plan. If let's say something had happened throughout this presentation, that suddenly I lose electricity, what my contingency plan would be is to record myself doing this. And then I'll provide you with the recording. There's no problem. But if you're going to do when you're going to do a face-to-face presentation, it's a bit more tricky, but if possible, try to record your own presentation earlier, so that In case we don't want anything to happen, touch wood, but in case it happens, you have that. You have that as your savior lah. Okay. Again, know when to upload your content and know when to share your content. So, like for example, you upload your content when you want to easily skip ahead. So, like for example, you don't want to spend too much time like clicking share and then going through it everything, because then it takes up a lot of time. You want to skip ahead all of that. So you upload the content, give it to your participant earlier. If you want to mark up meaning like you want to like emphasize on this, you want to like show like, okay, this is important, please do your reading beforehand. Give it to your participants, upload the content earlier so the participants have access to it. Okay. And another thing is, if you're constantly receiving notifications, some people, they get email notifications on their laptop all the time. You can see the pop-ups all the time. So when you see that, it's very distracting. Every time a pop-up comes up, you'll be like, oh, you would be looking at the pop-up. So if you're going to get constant notification, upload your content. Okay. But you can share if you're going to do demos or if you're going to edit there and then. So these are more for like meeting sort of things lah. Okay. If you're going to like during a meeting, or you're going to have like a board meeting, or you're going to have a class, these are things to take note of lah, when to share and when to upload. Okay. So that's all. These I've given you an overview, 4 major things that you got to take note of to deliver an effective virtual presentation. So right now, anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask me. Don't be afraid. Be honest, be open. Okay, I'll try to help you as much as I can. If I can't, I will do my own homework and I will help you. Okay, so you can even send me an email. Thank you, everyone. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Miss Kiirtaara. Okay,
No.
now open the questions and share.
Anyone, any question? Please on your camera. I would like to see your face. It's just a personal thing that I have. With the pandemic and everything, you can't really see new people. So I would love to see all of your faces.
Okay. Yeah, just a little reminder. At the end of this, we're gonna have a group photo. Okay.
Anyone? Any questions? Anything you're not clear of? Anything you need more clarification?
I just want to throw something lah. I have problem when I have problem to install animations since we present through the internet. So afraid that the internet connection will be disrupt the presentation.
Okay.
That's why. Is there
Okay.
anything that I can prevent it or macam mana?
Okay. You see, that's the thing. Like, just now, like when I told you, right, when to upload, when to share. So if you know you're going to have like problems with the internet connection, you want to show a video, for example, download the video beforehand in your computer, just in case you can't play it live. Okay. Let's say while you're playing the video, so you're having problem with the audio. Your audience can't hear what the video is showing. Send them the link. Let them watch it at their own time. Give them like a brief overview of what the video is about, and then you move forward with your presentation. Don't let that stop you. Don't when usually when there's a technical difficulty, suddenly we become very like panicky, like oh my god, like okay, technical difficulty. No, don't worry. Be very calm. You either play it through your device or send the link to your participants. There's no harm done when you do these things. Okay, so then you can just move forward with your presentation, maybe give them a gist of the video, and then move forward. Don't worry. Animation, like these are okay videos. For example, images usually you can just download and show them, just share screen. Unless you're referring to sharing screen and you have a bit of what do you call that, internet connection lah. In that case, maybe what you can do is later on you email the participants. Okay, either email them or WhatsApp group or something like that lah. So the point here is don't fumble when there's a technical difficulty. It's okay. Technical difficulties happen. That does not affect you or your presentation in any way. You can still go ahead. Even if your slides go blank, don't worry. Switch on your camera, present it, because your audience are listening to what you're saying. So all you got to do is to just improve on your presentation. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Anyone else? Helen, everything okay? Sorry, I'm
Yeah,
calling names. Yeah.
everything is okay.
Okay, great. Chai-Chen, everything okay?
Can I ask a question
Yes.
about the color design for oral presentation for a research?
Okay.
Yes.
So you're
Mm.
sorry. Go ahead.
Normally, the presenting a research, we have few portion, including um, result portion. So
Okay.
especially for the result portion,
Mm,
we have to display baseline characteristics followed by the uh, let's say I'm
analysis.
doing the outcome. I'm
Mm,
trying to show the relationship
mm,
between frail and non-frail patients. So
okay.
I want to see the baseline characteristic, their inpatient outcome, and compare in between these two groups. So
Okay.
uh, when I'm trying to design for the graph,
Mm-hmm.
I have the uh, concern whether am I having too much of color if I put different color for different different
Mm-mm.
portion of results. Let's say baseline characteristic, I'm using the one pair of color to differentiate frail versus non-frail. And
Okay.
then when I move to present the in terms of the outcome, I am using another color code for frail and, and non-frail. Another
Mm-mm.
separate pair. So as uh, because my intention was I want to keep attention of the audience. At the
Okay.
meantime, I'm also concerned, would it be causing too much of color and causing a distraction?
Okay. Based on my own experience, what I usually do is I create I my tables are usually the same colors. So my main characteristics, like for example, outcome, variable, and then the number, the top portion of it or the side portion is usually filled. It's a solid color. And then what I do is the remaining portion, I make sure I don't fill it with any color, or I put a very light color on it. And then when I want to emphasize results, what I tend to do is I will just highlight that whole portion. I highlight it so that people will immediately look at your results so that they can focus on that. But if you have many things to present, if you're showing too like many things, like for example, you want to show these bunch of things are significant, then what I do is I will that row, that specific significant row, I will make sure the color of that row is slightly different from the rest. But I don't put too many different colors. For example, if I'm showing that all of these are significant, I put one color for all those significant variables. It'll be one color. So that way, when my audience looks at my table, they will know that, okay, these variables are significant variables. Okay, but if you want to show results that are like, if you're going to focus on the let's say the f value, the what do you call that, like when you're looking at ANOVA and things like that, you want to see the effect, the effect of the effect value. Yeah, what you do is I just highlight it yellow or whichever color, because like you said, sometimes when there's too many colors it can become very confusing. But if you have a very consistent theme to your tables, then in this table, your audience may not understand like what the color means. But when you present your second table, then they'll be like, oh, wait, this color, that means, okay, these results are significant. Then your third table, you don't even have to explain anymore because they already know that, okay, if it's highlighted, that means the effect value is large. Okay, if it's if the row is gray in color, that means it's significant. Okay, do you understand what I'm trying to say, or am I answering your question?
I am not so understand. Actually, what I'm going to ask is in terms of color coding for the variables, for the dependent, for the independent variables.
Mm-mm.
Because my study is to show what is the difference between these two independent variables. So, along the way, I have to show people difference in characteristic of these two and difference in outcome of these two. So the way of my presentation is I'm using the bar chart. So
Oh, you're using a bar chart.
two different bar for I have two different color of bar to show these two independent variable. But if I'm using one pair of color for the baseline characteristic and another pair of color for the outcome, but actually the two independent variable are the same.
Mm,
Am I causing confusion?
mm.
I'm not sure whether you get what I'm
Okay,
trying
I
to
will
say.
have to have a look at your results for me to be able to really provide you with recommendations lah. So what you can do is you can just email it to me, or you can send
Mm,
me a screenshot as well, no problem. Okay,
mm, mm.
and then I'll provide you with some recommendations on how to ensure that your audience are not too confused lah.
Okay, sure. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you, no problem.
Mm.
Okay, okay. I think anything, please feel free to email me or WhatsApp me. Okay, I will respond as soon as I can.
Going to just get to some conclusion from what I get throughout the presentation is that when you're doing when you try to give an effective virtual presentation, what you need to focus more is that on the matters of the content, the design, the presentation, and the logistic matter. And when you want to start for a presentation, try to start and relate with using emotion, because a human is a very emotion person, and start with the empathy and try to establish the authority so that people more engage with your presentation. And when I say that try to establish the authority is by you can try to create a story to make the people understand, especially when you are presenting heavy content. And also you can do some additional of the current the history of the data what you want to present, and also what are the future reference for what are you going to try to present. And also you need to make sure that the transition is clear from one content to the another content. And most important thing is that when you try to present in your slides, especially, less is always more, so that you're not confuse people on what you're going to try to present. And then before you do some presentation, you can do some stretching where you can scream or you can yawn and try to lose all the muscle before the presentation. Like what Miss Kiirtaara said, you can look silly before the presentation. It's okay, it's fine. Okay. And then when in terms of the logistic, you can try to invest, especially for the audio, for the video, just to make the best presentation. And of course, you need to familiarize yourself with the platform that you're going to use for the presentation. So yes, that's Shakira.
Yeah.
Complete that all. But no
Correct.
worries, because we're going to have the recording session. And thank you again so much to our speaker, Miss Kiirtaara, for your time. And also thank you so much for our participant for tonight. Okay?
Thank you everyone for being part of this.
Yeah. So if you have any questions that Ms. Kiirtaara said, you can either ask in our Telegram group or you can email her. And especially for our topic on Google Classroom by Dr. June, if you have any question regards to her topic, you can send a question inside the Google Classroom. So we will assist that by inform Dr. June about that, and she will respond to any of the queries. Okay. So thank you so much again. Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.